We welcome you inside our studios here on a Monday evening. It is Game Time, presented by Kia. Casey Stern, the Hall of Famer, Mr. Who Dat now.
Who dat?
Should I say. Game ball for Isaiah Thomas.
Can you believe that?
No, I can't believe it.
It was a great game, though. I mean, the Saints played great. Eagles played great. It was a great game.
Yeah, I love how you said Eagles play great until they call you next year. I mean, why does he get the Eagles game when they're in the NFC? Equal opportunists, Rams, get on the horn. We got a lot to get into because you know this. When you are on a team and there are injuries, all of a sudden, everybody needs to kind of handle things differently. And Clint Capella, we've talked about this, you and I and everybody here often, never really gets the credit for, A, how well he plays, speaking of football, that the two-man game, almost like quarterback wide receiver with James Harden, and how important he is. I think the second most important on the team. Now out 4 to 6 weeks. Is this a bigger loss than even Chris Paul was when he went down?
For James Harden, yes, because, he and Capella are, arguably one of the best 1-2 punches in the league. And Capella is the perfect fit for Harden because he's a big man that runs. He's a big man that sets screens. He has great energy. He has just as good a stamina and motor as Harden does. So consequently, those two, they really do fit like hand in glove. And when you lose the Capella, now Harden is saying, okay, I got to take on more of the load. And Case, this is what he did tonight. I mean, his energy and stamina and shot-making ability has been off the charts this month.
I mean, how far up, as we watch him, he had 15 in the first quarter, how far up the toughest guy to guard ever one-on-one ranks is he up now for you?
Well, he's definitely one of them.
Right?
When you look at his ball handling ability, his ability to go to the line, make free throws, I mean, offensively, he is just about as complete as, anyone who's played the game because he can shoot the three, he's got the step back, he can make foul shots. But when you look at what he can do for your team, stamina and energy-wise, he brings that also.
Well, he also brings 17 consecutive games with north of 36. That's pretty good. But don't worry, he's not even close to finished. Lead 6 at the break, more from Harden. Step back, no chance. Deep three, good. Flotation devices, acceptable. Whoop. How about another step back? I mean, this is... Honestly, it looks like torturous for defense. 57 points, 9 boards.
Yeah, and we see all these great shots that he's making, the step backs, driving to the basket. But the thing that again, when we talked to P.J. Tucker the other night that impresses all of us, P.J. said he works on this every single day.
First guy in, last guy to leave,
First guy in the gym, last guy to leave. So when you see guys like him, Steph Curry, Durant making shots, hey, these are no accidents. They put in the work.
All right, I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot more work to do. Here's Harden after the win on playing without Capella. When you look at the Rockets, they clearly had deficiencies defensively after some of their losses, but so much talent. And now the names start to go one by one by one. As a star player, which you were and he is, when all of a sudden it's all on you, it's great because he seems like he can score 100 points.
Yeah.
But what is the pressure and the onus of, I got to keep my teammates in. I might need them at some point, right?
Yeah.
But I got to take over more than I used to.
Yeah, and you have to take over more than you used to. And by the way, your teammates expect you to. But your teammates also are human beings, too. And they're out there playing, and they want to touch the ball also. So it's a fine line between taking over and taking it all and making sure that you share. Because at the end of the game, you're going to need those teammates to make shots for you. And Tucker, again, what he said to us the other night was that they are prepared for this. And they're okay with James taking the wealth of the shots. But I think come playoff time, as we've seen before in the past, when teams start to take the ball out of Harden's hands, is he going to be able to distribute to his teammates, and will his teammates be ready to take on the load? Because the last couple of years, that's what has happened.
And that's why having Eric Gordon healthy is so important. He could go on a run for you. Having Capella, having Chris Paul, PJ Tucker, look, he had 7 threes, I think, the night we talked to him. Not exactly his type of thing. I love that you saw Austin Rivers, who has not played with Harden long. If you go back in that highlight rewind on your TVs, Harden's going 1-on-4, and Rivers is like this in the corner. He's like, nah, bro, he good. You're fine.
I think Rivers is an important pickup for them. I think he's a really important pickup because he, and people may not understand when I say this, but he, like Harden, is extremely explosive. And if he gets to play with the ball for 18 to 19 seconds on the shot clock, like Harden does, he can be just as explosive in some games as Harden is now.
If the Rockets get healthy, is that enough for them? Or you still think those defensive deficiencies, they need to rework and tweak things a little bit, right?
I don't care what league you play in, baseball, football, basketball, little league, soccer, whatever. At the end of the day, it comes down to, can you stop somebody from scoring? Not can you score on somebody. So defense wins championships.
Yeah, no,
offense looks pretty.
Hey.
But at the end of the day, these guys got to stop people.
When I was in Little League playing for Black Tie Limo when I was 8, I was thinking, what Zeke said, it's defense that wins championships.
Black Tie Limo.
Yeah.
Was y'all?
I hope they're watching.
Was y'all in black tie?
Yes. No, black and white. We had the whole thing.
To the game in the limo.
Yes.
So Little League.
Mom drove me.
Little League was stepping out of the limo.
Coming up on the other side.
Y'all was big ballers.
I also played for Yellow Stationery. Creative. Tony Parker's returned. Emotional, but could he get a W?
Stepping out of the limo with some lemonade.
That's right.
Pink lemonade.
We talk about the punch that the Nets gave to the Celtics. And you look at Donovan Mitchell and you look at the Eastern Conference player in Kawhi Leonard. Unbelievable numbers. But what I love is you see one guy on the right who seems to kind of fit everywhere, right? And the guy on the left we're seeing find where he fits best. He knows he could take dudes down one-on-one, but I see a guy really trying to find a fit because we know, look, the IQ and the skills of the makeup are there for Mitchell.
Yeah, well, and this is his second year.
Yes.
So, I remember my second year, all that stuff that I was doing my first year, when people hadn't seen me that much, everything worked.
Dude, they still couldn't stop that. Come on.
No, but I came back my second year, and the first month of the season, I went to do my thing, and I remember Mo Cheeks like, nah, I ain't going for that move. So I think what Mitchell has gone through this second time around, what he's going through is he's having to develop that third and fourth go-to move. We all have our first and second move, which is like our go-tos. But then the league and the coaches are so good, they take your first option and they take your second option away. So then you have to develop a third and a fourth. And where he's at right now, he's developed his third and fourth. And once he gets really good at those, then he'll be able to come back and really do his thing at 1 and 2.
The other thing, Zeke, is, and I'm curious how difficult this is, and if you notice this, is watching Jazz games, his knowledge of the rest of the floor is something you could tell he's working on and improving. Because he's never had an issue making moves and getting to the rack. But I think it was kind of finding himself, how can I make others better, right? And not just with an assist, but in fighting off screens and making sure to outlet extra plays. You're seeing more. The hustle was never an issue, but how long does it take for you to really be comfortable at the NBA speed and level, understanding what's going on around you?
And this is where great coaching comes in. When you look at Quinn Snyder and the relationship that he has with Mitchell and the trust factor that they have, that they've built, right? He can coach him, and he can not only coach him, but he can critique him, he can criticize him, and he can push him. And Mitchell will take that and learn from it, as opposed to thinking that this guy's trying to, diss me or whatever it is. I think Snyder has done a great job in coaching him. The fact that he's now aware of his second, third, fourth player options as opposed to his first, second, third, fourth individual options. So when he comes off, his first read is, let me help somebody, right? Not let me get mine. His first year, he come off and let me get mine. Now he's coming off and he's saying, let me help you. Let me help you. Now I'll come back and get mine. And that makes a team so much more difficult to guard.
As Zeke, as a coach and as a point guard, which is really coach on the floor, You got to know the talent around you. They have players who can do specific things extremely well, but that team basketball's got to be there more for them, right? Than if you're sitting there and you're Westbrook and Paul George. I'm not saying they don't play it and they play great team defense, but one guy can go take over a game. James Harden can go do it for the Rockets. Even though Mitchell can, how much more important does team basketball become specifically with the kind of roster they have?
Well, the battle for the individual player now is with himself and the stat sheet. So when I say with yourself, right? Yourself, you're judged by how I respond and how I play with you as a teammate. But I'm measured by the stat.
All right, Dwayne Casey hot about something. Probably the loss, among other things.
Yeah, Blake had a few choice words for the official also.
Yes. But the game went to the Jazz, 194. A couple of things to point out. Joe Ingles always seems, even if he has a big night, to make the big shot. And Kyle Korver has been monstrous. You heard the stat there. 2 threes made or more in his time with the Jazz at 12-1. And tonight, 19 off the bench.
He comes in and he does what he was brought there to do. Not only give them, great bench point production, but also to give them confidence and to settle that young team down when they get, kind of erratic. He comes in with that championship pedigree, with that old man sage, wisdom that he can give to the young players and say, hey, we're going to be all right. And he makes a shot and he does the right thing at the right time.
Old man Sage, is that what you're bringing me on this side?
Yeah, old man Sage.
All right, from old man Sage to big man Boban, who always seems to have some kind of hilarity.
Love his, you gotta love his attitude. You gotta
There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Get out of the way.
He's the best. He's the best.
You might want to break. Oh, okay. That's a character right
the
there.
Series of Boban.
Like being John Malkovich, being Boban.
Being Boban.
On Tuesday night, it's players only with a doubleheader right here on NBA TV. First, Jimmy Butler and the Sixers host his former Timberwolves team at 7 Eastern, followed by the Bulls in LA to take on the still LeBron-less Lakers. So guys, it's going to be Jimmy's first matchup against his former team. We've talked a lot tonight about Tony Parker's return to San Antonio. I would imagine this one will go perhaps a bit differently.
I don't think there'll be a lot of hugging each other at half court. As a matter of fact, there might be slugging each other at half court.
Nice.
I'd like to see, the best matchup for me is going to be Towns versus Embiid. I just like big guys. They both are really skilled. But it'll be interesting to see Wiggins, who took the brunt of the practice screaming and yelling that Butler did when he came back, guarding him. And does Wiggins just kind of go like, you know what, this guy's not my teammate anymore. I'm going to try to tear him up and just attack him. Or did all that kind of browbeating that Jimmy did to the guy just like have him like, I don't want to play against this guy. I don't know. That's what I'm interested in seeing. I think that for the Wolves players, everybody was in there for that practice when he started cursing everybody out and yelling, you need me, you can't win without me. They're all going like, let's go show this guy that we can win without him. So I'm interested in seeing the Wiggins Butler kind of, they should match up a lot. But overall, I love, Karl Anthony Towns versus Joel Embiid. I like to see two big guys that can play, pass, move the ball, and so it'll be a fun game to watch. I'm looking forward to it already.
We won't really be able to see, obviously, a fan reception yet, but the player reception will be an interesting one to watch.
Well, the matchup with the big guys, because Towns is playing so well the last couple of weeks now, and Embiid will be challenged, obviously, by the youngster. But I don't know if it's in Wiggins' personality, and that's why, Kevin, you mentioned, I'm anxious to see, does he have that in his personality to go after somebody that called him out in front of the whole team, that wound up precipitating a coaching change, in essence. And then on the other side of it, is Butler going to come in and not shoot threes because he's on this movement right now of not shooting threes? We'll see what happens. A lot of subplots in this game.
Well, what?
It's hard. It's hard to be in the not shooting three movement in a 3 league. Just because so much of it is set up for you to take the three. Mike, you set up your offense, and that far guy in the far right corner, the ball, the plays on the left side. He's there, and the ball gets swung over to you late clock. Or you're just going to take a step inside the three-point line and shoot it.
Well, he did it last game.
I know.
He didn't shoot any.
I'm saying that it's just hard to be that like I'm just going to be obstinate. I'm not going to shoot a three. It's really hard how the offenses are set up now because they're set up for that swing pass for the three. So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, not only will Jimmy Butler face his former team, but Dario Saric, Robert Covington, Jared Bayless, they make their return as well. Coach Brett Brown has said that he gets emotional just talking about Dario, thinking about Dario. What will the return be like for him, a guy who once was considered to be the future of the franchise?
I thought Covington and Saric gave those guys last year unbelievable big shots. You know, they defended. They fit into that system, especially when Joel Embiid got hurt and they took him out and they started going small with Ilyasova and that whole small lineup. They won 16 in a row to finish the season. And I thought at that point, Saric had really found his home, that he was going to just play well. He played well in the playoffs, so that was a big piece. I mean, you know, him moving, and Robert Covington might have been their just best defender, wing defender. So I think that. I'm sure Brett Brown, you know when you're a young coach, Brett's not a young coach, this is his first team. You remember those guys, man. They get you to the playoffs, you win 16 in a row, you win the first round against Miami. Those guys really meant something to him, and I'm sure it's hard to trade. I know it's hard to trade those type guys.
Isn't the question, is the Jimmy Butler deal the same gamble that Toronto wound up taking, in essence, that you decided that you're going to go after a star, bring him in, and you hope that you can keep him at the end, because you mentioned those pieces. There's defense with Covington, there's rebounding with those two guys, there's three-point shooting with those two guys. That's all gone now to Minnesota. You did that to get Butler.
If he walks, you know, I mean, that's one of those big ifs.
Right.
It scares you, and I hate to say this, but there's already some stuff coming out of there that I don't like reading and just hearing about and stuff like that. So, that's a big gamble for them, and I know they want it to work. And for it to work, I think Philly's going to have to kind of get it together and start playing really good basketball. All year long, they've been teetering on playing good ball, like getting on a roll. There's so many teams at Eastern Conference that have got to find their Celtics. Philly, they've got to find their footing and make a run this last 40 games.
Well, and they wouldn't sacrifice the happiness of Joel Embiid in favor of the long-term contract for Jimmy Butler, right? If that's not a dynamic that seems to be working.
So is the question that you're asking, do you give up Jimmy Butler and let him walk away rather than sacrifice having an unhappy Embiid?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, that's a big question.
Sure is.
Because I was just going to ask Kevin, okay, back in the old days, Kevin, isn't there just too much talking going on right now within teams that wind up tearing teams apart rather than keeping them united and understanding that we have something to say, we say it behind closed doors, and it stays there. Now it's just too much.
To be fair, there's also significantly more coverage now than there was then.
Yeah,
There's
but
more
you know what,
coverage,
though?
there's social media.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, say there you have your two reporters, which we had always with our team. Okay, if you said something to them, really, it was going to get in the paper. Believe me. Now it didn't go to Twitter, it didn't go all over the place, but it started there and it went around the league. Mike, every time there was a problem, as you're coaching, what was the first thing you do in the paper when we would go to the airport? You'd read it and you'd say, "Oh man, look at these guys are beefing." All this stuff happened. Yes, the spotlight wasn't quite as bright, but you kept it in-house. Like, if you had something to say, you said it in-house. Now these guys feel so emboldened to come out and just say it to the media or to the world or whatever. And it's not like they're thinking about their team. It's like they're thinking about themselves. It's just like, well, I'm going to get this out there to cover my butt. Man, your team, it's team first. And I tell you what, when you put your team first, you don't do a lot of that stuff. Because if you got a problem with something, you address it as a team. And the Butler stuff coming out of Philly, it's just interesting. But you asked the question. I would be hard pressed if I was in any part of that Philly organization to upset Joel Embiid to the point to where he's thinking about maybe not staying.
Right.
That kid is a unique talent and different. And I love Jimmy Butler. Don't get me wrong. I think that kid's really a player. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right, Mike. It's Embiid's got a little bit more weight, if you ask me. So yeah, that's. I hate to even see this though, because basketball is played best, man, when you have five guys out there without an agenda, or everybody has the same agenda. Go win the game. Let's just go win this game tonight, and that's when it's fun to watch.
Well, Game Time continues after the break. We'll have a look around the league. It's a 6-game Monday night, and we've got, let's see, the Celtics in action against The Nets, and that is D'Angelo Russell knocking down the corner three, but Jason Tatum firing back here. Moments later, it's early in the game, 5-5, but we're going to take a look when Game Time continues next.